Welcome to episode 3 of the Learning Ideas Conference's winter event series on preparation for the workplace, the changing role of higher education. I'm David Guralnick, the conference chair of the Learning Ideas Conference and host for this event. I'll be here with you throughout the day and for all of the episodes in this 4-episode series, so it's great to be back with everyone again. Before we get started today, I did want to note that our June conference, the Learning Ideas Conference, will be held from June 11th through the 13th. And that's a hybrid event in New York and online with a couple of extra days in May on the 28th and 29th as well. Early bird registration rates are available through the end of this month through February 28th. So if you haven't already, you want to register now for the best price that you can get. And I hope to see many of you in June, either in person or online. And then back to today, we have an incredible program over the course of the event. Speakers and panelists bringing a variety of perspectives relating to higher education and workplace preparation. So really looking forward to continuing the discussion that we've had for the last couple of weeks. This week's focus is on workforce preparation and student career paths. And as with last week, we're looking at this event as being very much a discussion. So please use the chat and Q&A as we go, ask questions, especially of the panelists. And then after today's talks, as we do every week, we'll have at 11:30 Eastern time, we'll have an open discussion session. So really looking forward to the continued conversation with everyone as part of this event. I'm excited about this week's segments and our two panels, but before we get into this week, let's take a look back quickly at last week's episode. So last week's focus was on alternative education paths for workplace preparation and advancement. We had two great talks along with our discussion session. Our first talk last week was from Kate Fessler, the Senior Director of Outreach at the National Retail Federation, or NRF Foundation, and a partner of ours at Kaleidoscope Learning. So Kate talked about the Rise Up program for retail, which is a program that includes courses and exams and allows people to earn industry-recognized credentials. As Kate noted, we at Kaleidoscope are NRF's partner in Rise Up, and our team designed and developed the courses. Those come in online and classroom versions, and then there are online exams that people take to earn their credentials, and a whole lot more. So let's take a quick look back and take a look at some highlights from Kate's talk last week.
71% of hiring managers actually really like the skills people learn in retail because they're transferable to pretty much any outward-facing position. Rise Up is the foundational training and credentialing program that provides people employability skills, helps people land jobs and get promoted in retail and then the other industries. Our curriculum and our exams are industry recognized, and our latest versions, which Kaleidoscope helped us update this past summer, were developed in collaboration with more than 30 retailers. Our learners fall into a few broad categories. David mentioned a lot of them skew a little bit younger. So our biggest group is the high schools, and how they work is the teachers will integrate our credentials into existing classes, and just sort of the space where ours fall is in business or marketing or supply chain courses. We also have community colleges that incorporate the classes. We do have workforce organizations and retailers who use Rise Up as well to upskill their clients and get them jobs. So businesses are not ready to wait for people to get the 4-year degree all the time. So they want to have employees that have skills that can be put to work right away. Those are some individual stories, but we've got a lot. Credentials can give a lift to an entire population. The credential itself isn't enough. You have to ensure that there's a next step, either more education or a job, or how to, articulating about the credentials that you do have.
What's the real world value of online certificates compared to traditional degrees? And how do you think that those will impact career opportunities for students?
That's a great question. What we're seeing from the departments of education and from the workforce is that credentials add a solution for quick, real, sort of just-in-time learning that can be put to use immediately in the workforce. So that the online certificates, I think, are a complement. As I said before, it's not an either or.
Thanks so much to Kate for taking the time to be here with us and talk about the Rise Up program and how it can really make an impact as an alternative path to jobs or career opportunities for people, including as a complement to traditional educational paths. So really enjoyed that talk. And then our second talk I really enjoyed as well, which was from Dr. Alexandra Urban of Coursera. And she talked about how generative AI can revolutionize online and workplace learning and jobs, and specifically discussed Coursera's AI coaching component. So let's take a look back at some highlights from Dr. Urban's talk.
In 2023, there was a 20x increase in job postings requiring Gen AI skills. So no longer just a nice to have, but really more required as people are looking for jobs. I know that a lot of people are now saying that it's not AI that's going to take your job, it's someone who knows AI. And what's cool about that is that you can become that person who knows AI and is ready for your job future. If you have Gen AI skills, you have more job roles and opportunities for where to apply and that you'd be a good fit for. We see that you're more likely to be hired because that is so top of mind for a lot of these companies. And then lastly, you're going to be paid more. So all three things together, individuals are really able to unlock these greater economic opportunities if they lean into Gen AI skills. So looking at these core skills for 2025, this is from that same report, you can see things like analytical thinking, technology literacy, but also these kind of more human or relational skills that are so top of mind. And really what we're seeing is that the power of innovation is unlocked when we combine these together. How can we embrace this type of Gen AI learning for ourselves, for our workforce, for our government, for our learners, if we're educators, across all those groups, embracing these Gen AI skills is going to be really important. So at Coursera, we have created what we call Coursera Coach to boost engagement. So it's not like a traditional chatbot. It is powered by generative AI, but instead of just giving answers, it really is based in pedagogical and Socratic method best practices around coaching, tutoring, and how to really set up learners for success. Learners using Coach are completing 11.6% more items per learning hour than those not using Coach. So because Coach has features like, hey, can you summarize this video? Can you help me understand this reading? Can you translate this into my native language? All of that is possible with Coach, and it's really helping learners to make the most of their often very limited learning time. What is the impact on rigor or academic integrity, right? Because some folks were worried, okay, but are more people completing because the AI grading is just passing everyone? Or what's happening there in terms of the academic integrity, the rigor of these assessments? And what we found was that the AI grades for these peer reviews were actually on average 3% lower than those given by peer graders.
What advice would you give to learners and professionals who are looking to maximize the value of Coursera for career development purposes?
Ooh, good question. I think it depends where the learner is in their career. So if you work at a large organization and you want to optimize career development for your teams, I would say focus on those key skills that are related to your high-level strategy and metrics as a company. If it's someone or a group of learners who are still in high school or college or much earlier in their career, then we actually have something called Career Academy, which is focused on especially some of those kind of early-level career needs, so kind of those baseline career skills, as well as career industry certificates. So things like the Google IT certificate, which is focused on helping people get jobs immediately. So no college degree required. So that's a great option as well.
So thanks again to Alexandra for her talk and for giving us the opportunity to get an inside view into some of the things that Coursera is doing, especially regarding generative AI. And then after the talks, we had our weekly discussion session, an open forum for participation, anyone who'd like to continue the discussion. Thanks to Kate and Alexandra for joining the discussion. Now let's take a look at a brief segment from our discussion session last week.
So Rise Up, we have stuff that's preparing people for the workforce job, or for the retail jobs, but we also know that the world is changing so fast. The agentic AI, where the AI is making decisions in, telling employees where to go, but you have to have the human element there too.
The outcomes of AI are becoming more and more useful when we let the machine learn by doing, when we let the machine create its own whatever and not just refer to a big, large language model. And it seems to me that that should change the way we think about what learning is and what a course is as we go forward with this alternate intelligence. And it's not just about going into the old realm of a classroom and learning how to use the tools. It's the design of the courses, if we even going to call them courses in the future. Is there any of that kind of thought going on?
Yeah. So the other half of the question, which is more like the actual learning experience, we at Coursera are experimenting with some kind of what we call next gen learning experience that do look maybe a bit different than a traditional course. And so leaning more into having coach be kind of the driver of that experience, but still, I think, as an instructional designer or someone that studied learning science, right, we still want some structure. We still want assessments and feedback, because if it's just LLM or chatbot experience, like outside of Coursera, then we don't really know what skills people are learning, or if they've learned it, what gaps they still have. And so I think it will be that combination of, it might be more driven by kind of that coach or more of a dialogue experience, but on the back end, still grounded in what are those learning objectives.
John Furner from Walmart did, the opening keynote for the Big Show. And so it should be, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, but, he talks about the disruptor of AI and how it's going to change the whole workforce. But, retail is a big example. So but you still need that human element. So.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, that's what Malik says. He has 4 principles for using AI, and one of them is never leave the human out of the picture.
And there's still so much more to discuss and consider regarding generative AI, and also the role that AI can and potentially should play in learning experience design. And we'll talk a lot more about all of that in more depth at our big conference in June as well. So lots to look forward to over the next couple of weeks here, and then as we get into the June conference as well. So while last week's episode focused on alternative paths and approaches to help people be job ready and even help them find a job, this week we're going to look at some different perspectives that relate to higher ed, the workplace, and alternative paths and options as well. So this event, and really all of our events, to me, are about bringing together different perspectives, appreciating different views, learning from others' experiences, sometimes being surprised. We'll see if that's the case here. So we have 2 really interesting panel discussions today as we first discuss the perspective of fairly recent employees and their journeys and experiences in a panel that we call the Employee Perspective, Learning, Careers, and Goals. And then after that, we'll have another panel with panelists who work in career services at universities, and that one's connecting students with career paths. So much to talk about once again this week. And we will, as I mentioned, follow the panel discussions as we tend to do with our open discussion session at 11:30. Once again, as we go, please feel free to use the chat and Q&A, ask questions of the panelists. We'll work on the questions as we can. So let's get started with our first panel. It's the Employee Perspective, Learning, Careers, and Goals. I'm really delighted to have our panelists with us, and let's roll the intro.